Morning, Eight family, Common Sense Investor coming at you again. I told you I had this little chart here for you. What it is the NSCC, which stands for the National Securities Clearing Corporation. Okay, the National Securities Clearing Corporation. What they are a branch of the DTCCCCC. In other words, after doing what investigation that I have, the NSCC is the enforcement arm of the DTCCCC. In other words, places like Citadel, Robin Hood, Webull, Anchorage, they all report to the NSCC. Now, their job is to make sure that transactions are settled, that for every buyer there was a seller, and for every seller there was a buyer. Now I'm going to introduce you to Stock Swinger. Instead of me just repeating what he's saying, I'm going to go ahead and let him tell you, because he done a really good job of explaining what the NSCC new rules apply and how we will get our money. Let's listen.
Now the government's involved, everybody's involved. You're hearing this thing about the organized squeeze and all of that and not blowing up the stock market. This 010 and this idea of these guys getting the cash for their long positions is just genius. Is just absolutely genius. We'll touch on it in a second, but what made me think of this, why this is so genius, right here, this tweet, AMC, after they return the cash, they get their shares back. That's from them transferring the shares over, getting the cash and being able to buy those shares back. They're never going to buy those shares.
Okay. That's in the first part of this. The game's over. The NSCC has called all these hedge funds and brokerages to the carpet. You have to buy back these synthetics and get them off the market. They're busted. They've wasted all their money shorting. So what do they have to do? Well, hedge fund A, Citadel, might give them 3 million shares of Apple. And Robin Hood gives them Microsoft, and Webull gives them Coke, and so forth. Anchorage gave them Disney, and they give them Walmart. And in exchange, they get money to pay the people for the synthetic shares that are out there for AMC, GME, and the others. Let's continue to listen.
Back. How? How are they going to do that? They're getting the money to pay off all of their short positions, all of their debt, blah, blah, blah. They're never going to get it back.
They will never get it back.
Months and months and months. I hate to sound conspiracy theorist, but my God, it just adds up to way too.
What he's referring to there is, once they've transferred their shares of Apple to the NSCC and they receive the money, they get 80 to 85% on the dollar. The NSCC gives them an interest payment, and they have to keep paying that interest payment to the NSCC to keep their Apple shares. They have to pay their interest to the NSCC to keep their Microsoft shares, and Coke, and Disney, and Walmart, and Starbucks. And at any time they can't make that interest payment, the NSCC now owns Apple, they own Starbucks, they own Microsoft, they own Coca-Cola, they own Disney, they own Walmart. Why? Because these people have defaulted on their interest payments. Take a look. After they have been vanquished, like Lou says, the NSCC will have control of all of these shares. Listen.
Too much. It's just way too much. Okay, so let's touch a little bit more on this 010. It's been everywhere, you guys. And then also, too, this other rule that Jeffrey Forbes touched on. We'll touch on that in a minute. Another video or another post, you guys. If anyone, we've touched on Webull. If anyone is in Robinhood still, you have to read this gosh dang article that's put together. You will be out of there You will fly to Robinhood headquarters, so you're there Monday morning and
Now that's his
physically
opinion. I
demand your
particularly
cash
don't
out of
care
there.
which one
They're all
you're
done.
in.
It's
They're
good.
all in
Okay, so
trouble.
enough blabbling. We'll touch on all of this, you guys. Part one, NSC 2021-010. This might be the nail in the coffin to ensure the biggest wealth transfer in history. We've said that for 6 frickin' months, folks. NSCC is creating securities financial transactions, SFTs, for the clearing members as risk of defaulting. Part two, these endangered members would be able to park their long positions as collateral in exchange for a fixed amount of cash. Upon the NSCC would be able to get interest from them. They'll never get that. Those.
I just shared that with you right here. Citadel's going to give them Apple. Robinhood will give them Microsoft. Webull will give them Walmart. And they'll be getting an interest payment from them to keep these positions alive. If at any time they cannot pay the interest, the NSCC controls all of these companies. Let's listen.
Shares back. Never. Never. Just genius. Problem solved, boys and girls. With the loan cash, they will be able to cover their debt obligations. However, if these members default from their shorts and not being able to pay up, the NSCC would be able to keep their long positions. First transfer of wealth from institution to retail. Oh my God. This would be effectively prevent the market getting affected in the flash crash. That's been the main concern, and again, that makes
the flash crash. That is a distraction. Yes, if Citadel had to go into the open market and sell their Apple, Apple would fall, Microsoft would fall. Yes, there would be a crash. That's why they say they have set this up. But the purpose is to get control of all of these shares. Because once they own the majority shares of Starbucks, they can now mandate anything they want at Starbucks. You will have to have the ouchie to work there. You will have the ouchie to enter there. You cannot shop at Walmart unless you can prove you've had the Fauci ouchie, and so forth and so on. Apple, you can't be hired at Apple unless you can prove ouchie verification. That's what it's all boiling down to, people. They'll never get these shares back because, as a matter of fact, I did a video and I don't think I posted it, but the fact is, and I'm going to end this because we're at 8 minutes. Once they have possession of these shares, they will have to pay an interest back to them. At any time they cannot pay the interest, they fall. And the shares go over here. Once the shares are over here, they can sell them and continue to pay off whoever is needed to be paid off. Because if they crash and no money, and then they sell all their shares over here to the NSCC and they still don't have no money, the NSCC auctions these shares off at 80, 85%. Let's listen.
They're not going to let this market just tank for these dodo birds that have just buried themselves, for a year, whatever you want to call it. And this, you guys, remember, this is not just our beloved AMC or GME. This is there's 100 of those stocks out there. BlackBerry, Bed Bath & Beyond, all of them. It's monstrous.
All of them have to be bought back.
I know the numbers on
They've
that.
let them go in the hole this deep.
To similar type of levels.
They've let them go in the hole this deep, so they will have to be able to turn over more shares. That's been the purpose. That's the end game all along. That's why the pattern has been set in motion. Who do you think set the pattern in motion so that all of these people who ignored all these people while they did what they done, shorted, naked shorted? Gary Gensler never opened his mouth. Adam Aaron never opened his mouth. And I don't want to hear no bullshit about Adam Aaron. He's not no fucking ape. He's a CEO of a business. But anyway, once they fall and they have no more shares, they will auction these shares off to institutions like BlackRock, Vanguard, at 85% of their total value. Let's see if that's all Kringle had to say. Oop, I messed it up. All right, that's good enough. And that's a long enough video. That's the end game, people. It's a power grab. It's been a power grab from the beginning. You don't have to worry about getting paid because they're going to be taking their shares and giving them money to pay out to us. And once they're vanquished, they will take these shares and they will auction them off to other institutions and get their money back to pay us until it's completed. And that's all I have for you right now. I hope this was informative. Please like this video, comment your thoughts down below, and if you feel it's important enough, please share it. Love y'all.